We are going to talk about Psalms 29. And what I would like to do is read through it, but I'd like to give you a moment. If you have any way to pull this psalm up for yourself, I'm going to give you a little bit of time. We're going to read it from up here, and then I'm going to take us through it, and I'll be kind of flipping through, okay? Because I kind of want to give you the problem for me is I'm a teacher, and I want to teach everything, and I want to teach all the things, and I want to tell you all the history, and I want to tell you about the Canaanite god Baal and the Baal cycle and all the things that come into this, and it just isn't possible because I would be here by myself here in about 30 minutes. So what I want to do is I want to go through this really quickly. I want to read it to you, and I want you to follow along, and then if you can have it in front of you, I would love that, because we're going to flip up and down in the beginning when I introduce this psalm. Let's take a moment of silence to prepare for the reading of the word. Ascribe to the Lord, O heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory of his name. Worship the Lord in holy splendor. The voice of the Lord is over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord over mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. The Lord breaks the cedars of Lebanon. He makes Lebanon skip like a calf, and Sirion like a young wild ox. The voice of the Lord flashes forth flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord causes the oaks to whirl and strips the forest bare. And in his temple all say, glory. The Lord sits enthroned over the flood. The Lord sits enthroned as king forever. May the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. I absolutely love this psalm. I think am I doing the thing? I'm doing the thing. Okay. All right. The reason I wanted to pull this up is I want to give you a quick idea of what's going on just in general in this psalm. This first little bit, the first two verses, I like the way this is split up, okay, between the little sections, because there's something going on in each section. This first section is kind of the introduction, and it starts with a really strong word. It's a command word, and it means, literally it would mean write or record or acknowledge or some word like that, okay, like ascribe, like give to, all right, the Lord, O heavenly beings. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory of his name. Worship the Lord in holy splendor. Now, the heavenly beings here, I want to do, can I do 6 weeks on this psalm? Is that, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The heavenly beings are just the creatures, the surrounding host, all right, in heaven. That's as far as I'll get into that. The Lord, that's all capitalized, this is Yahweh, all right? And I want you to know that that's specific. I also think it's really important that the word Lord is repeated over and over, and it goes right down the middle of that stanza, okay? So everything on either side is centered on the Lord, which is in the middle and goes straight down the middle, all right? Which is exactly what this psalm is going to do. It's going to carry God and God as Lord and God as Yahweh straight through the rest of this psalm. And in the end, that's going to be an encouragement to us. So starting in the second stanza right here, you have the voice of the Lord. is over the waters. And that word over is really important because the heavenly hosts, all right, according to ancient Near Eastern thought, this host around God in the heavens would be filled with lesser gods. Okay, so there were other very powerful beings, right? But the voice of the Lord comes over all the top of all the other voices. All right, and that same idea of being over is gonna be carried through the rest of this also. And this idea of thunder, all right, we have this beautiful storming image in here. All right, where it's as though one of the commentaries I read said that ascribed this psalm to David, and said that it's as though David were sitting, or we're in his in a home, in a dwelling, in a building, and he's looking out over the water, and this storm is rolling in. Okay, it's coming over the water, and then it's going to go up the shore, and then it's going to go into the forest where the cedars of Lebanon are, and then the thundering sound is going to engulf all of that. There is this huge rolling majesty. All right, so the voice of the Lord thunders, the God over mighty waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. So this isn't just a normal voice. This is the thundering voice of a storm coming off the water and rolling across the land. And then we get more. The voice of the Lord is going to come up again. All right. So this next stanza, the voice of the Lord breaks the cedars. And what's so fascinating about this is that the cedars of Lebanon were highly prized for their strength, and kings would come from all over and gather the wood from the cedars of Lebanon to build their palaces, because it was the best substance and the strongest substance and the most lasting substance that you could build with. And the voice of the Lord breaks those cedars. All right, so it's so powerful that just the voice of the Lord, the thunder of the storm, can break the cedars of Lebanon. And he has control of Lebanon and can make Lebanon skip like a calf, and Syrian like a young wild ox. So again, in this case, God's power is breaking. And I think about storms. I know some of you have lived in Lubbock as long as I have, and we've had some storms that have felled some trees. And that's a pretty mighty image to think about, a voice or thunder or lightning being able to just fell a tree and to fell a cedar of Lebanon. Okay, so you get that idea again of power over something. And then in 7, we have the voice of the Lord again. All right, this time the voice of the Lord flashes forth flames of fire. I cannot explain to you how much that alliteration makes me happy. Okay? It even sounds like flames of fire. Flashes forth flames of fire. All right? The voice of the Lord shakes the wilderness. So at this point, the storm has kind of rolled in on the water. It's gone up into the shore, onto the cedars of Lebanon, and is now in the wilderness of the forest. All right? And it's shaking the wilderness. All right? Shaking it to its roots. The Lord shakes the wilderness of Kadesh. And then we come down to the next stanza, where it says, I love this one too, the voice of the Lord causes the oaks to whirl. Now, I did not do very much research into this little phrase, but the first thing that came to my mind was the 1970 tornado that we had here in Lubbock, that I was down in my basement hiding from, okay? And that idea of whirling, all right, like a tornado would, whirling like power, okay? Not really an idea of destruction, but more this idea of immense power, the immense power of a storm. Think about the last time that you were in a storm. If you've ever traveled during the winter through Abilene, Texas, you were in a storm, okay? There's a bowl right there, and for about 5 years, every time Brent and I took our small children in that minivan and drove through that area. One time a ball of hail like this cracked the front windshield. Another time we got snowed in and had to like limp over to a hotel and spend the night overnight, okay? So this idea of, and this was snow and cold and things like that, but there was that overwhelming feeling, okay, of being surrounded, right, by the snow, by the cold. All right, and this causing the oaks to whirl, and it strips the forest bare. And in his temple, all say, glory. The response to this show of power, to this beautiful storm that images God, causes this uprising of glory, like Cass when she was singing and her arms went up at one point. She was very moved, and it was beautiful to see that, and that was her saying glory. All right. Okay. The end. Now we're down to the end of the psalm, and so we've seen this idea of the Lord as the center, and then we've seen the things that just the voice of the Lord can do. Did anybody's mom have that voice like mine did? And I have. I'm telling you, my mom voice is amazing. My children still, I'll just use that voice every once in a while, and they still go, they're like in their mid-30s and have children of their own, okay? But it's that same idea. This voice is worthy of glory, and it has this power. But this power, this shaking, and all of this power is for us to have. I'm a little bit of a storm fanatic. Like, I kind of get energy from storms. And so oftentimes when it's raining and lashing outside, if I am safe inside, then those things make me feel protected. My husband is there, my house is there, God is over things. So within this, I get this voice of saying, look, I've got your back. I've got you. Look what I can do with just my voice. Okay? Imagine just that is drive you to your knees, grateful and awestruck. All right? And very awestruck. So, in the beginning, we have the introduction, and the psalmist is saying, all of you need to give praise to the God of gods, the Lord of lords, the King of kings, all you heavenly hosts. All right? And since we are children of God, okay, that can be carried to us as well. And then we have all of these examples of power. And then at the end, this very last part, the Lord sits enthroned, what? Over the flood. The Lord sits enthroned as king forever. So we have this ending, right, where it says, look, all of this is leading to Yahweh sits enthroned over the flood. And we're his, he's ours. That means we sit there too. All right? We can be there. We can sit there. And then at the end, we have this call from the psalmist, okay, to the people, right? This one is directly to the people. And he says, may the Lord give strength. What kind of strength? Well, that strength we just read, okay? That strength of that voice, that strength of purpose, that strength that comes from knowing, like Sherry was talking about, that we can be forgiven always, again and again and again. And oh boy, am I grateful for that. So may the Lord give strength to his people. May the Lord bless his people with peace. You know, there's a calm that comes before the storm, but there's also a calm that comes after the storm. And one thing that struck me this morning when I was kind of thinking again about what I wanted to talk about today, specifically with this psalm, I remember thinking, for me, the comfort comes in knowing that Yahweh is the storm. Okay? Yahweh is not just above the storm. Yahweh is the storm, and I am safe within that storm. Because if you want to if you want to, do the application to today, our lives are a storm. Okay, we are living in a storm, and that storm is Yahweh, and Yahweh's got our back. I think that's what I have to say. So, thank you very much. Would you pray with me, please? Father, you are mighty, and you are glorious, and you are beautiful, and you are God, and we are not. And it's so important that we understand our weakness, but that we also know that we can reach out to you, and you will hold us and give us your strength. Father, may we hear you today as we walk through our storms. May we hear you today as we see others who need our help, who need our guidance. And Father, I pray that we see when we too need help and guidance. And Father, may we boldly ask others to help us when we need it. And may we boldly come before you, Father, and bring everyone we know with us. It's in your Son's name that I pray. Amen.